The name Monaco conjures up images of Mediterranean glamour, of fairy tale royalty, and of course of Grand Prix racing, in which royalty is defined by victory on the streets of the Principality. Tazio Nuvolari and his Alfa in 1932. Sterling Moss and the first win for Lotus in 1960. Jochen Rindt's surprise victory in the tragedy-filled 1970 season. Mr. Monaco, Graham Hill, and his 5 wins, surpassed only by Ayrton Senna's 6, including his epic battle with Nigel Mansell in 1992. Today, Michael Schumacher seeks to match the great Senna with his 6th Monaco triumph. What new memory will be made today? The Grand Prix of Monaco is next. Welcome to a very special day for all of us here at Speed Channel. The privilege of bringing you live coverage of the Formula One Grand Prix of Monaco. I'm Bob Varsha alongside David Hobbs and Steve Matchett. The field is set. Let's see how they're lined up with our starting grid brought to you by Circuit City. It took him 119 Grand Prix, the most ever, to get his first career pole, but that's where Jarno Trulli and Renault will start. The 6th different pole sitter in as many years here in the Principality. Alongside another surprise, Jenson Button continuing his good work for BAR Honda.
On row 2 with his best grid position since pole in Hungary last year is Alonso in the Renault. And next to him, Michael Schumacher's Ferrari. Off the front row for the first time this year, his Bridgestone race tyres just not up to qualifying.
On row 3, Kimi Räikkönen equals the best qualifying performance of the season by a McLaren driver alongside Rubens Barrichello in the number 2 Ferrari, who starts right behind his teammate.
In 7th spot, Takuma Sato in the 2nd BAR Honda, who made a real bad unforced error at the chicane and lost a lot of time. And next to him is David Coulthard, who as usual in single lap qualifying said he just wasn't quite up to it.
Back to row 5, where the defending race champion Juan Pablo Montoya has the worst qualifying performance of his season for Williams. He's next to Giancarlo Fisichella in the Sauber, who once again showed speed in practice but not in qualifying.
Row 6 is Mark Webber in his Jaguar. So far he's had a terribly fraught weekend, and next to him, a victim of the one-engine rule change, Ralf Schumacher, who had a brilliant run to 2nd but had to relinquish 10 spots for an engine change on Thursday.
Back to row 7, Olivier Panis won this race in 1996. Starting from this row, he'll be alongside Austrian rookie Christian Kleen. Bad weekend for Jaguar thus far.
Row 8, Cristiano D'Amato, Panis' teammate, and next to him is Felipe Massa in the 2nd of the Saubers, just not getting with it.
On row 9, All Jordan. Giorgio Pantano started this race 3 times in Formula 3000 and crashed out all 3 times. Next to him, his German teammate Nick Heidfeld.
And bringing up the rear, the Minardi team, Zolt Baumgartner just out qualifying his teammate Gianni Bruni for the first time, I think, this year.
We've got time for one more quick break before the start of live coverage of the Grand Prix of Monaco. When we come back, the cars will be set to roll off. Don't miss it. And the run down to turn 1 at Saint-Devote. Welcome back live to the streets of the Principality of Monaco. There is Jenson Button looking over at our pole sitter, Jarno Trulli, just seconds away from the roll-off in preparation for the start. As you can see, the grid curves, so the drivers at the back will not be able to see what lies ahead of them on the road when the race gets underway. The royal box at the right.
And a long way back to Michael Schumacher for this year.
This is the run down to turn 1, where the chapel at Saint-Devote, where Prince Renier and actress Grace Kelly were married many, many years ago.
Just saw a little puff of smoke coming off David Coulthard's tyres there as he left his pit box. You notice the drivers doing that to try and lay some rubber down onto the track to try and give them a better launch off the start when the lights go out to get the race underway.
Now Beau Rivage corner, left-hand sweeper which goes into Massenet, this tighter corner here. Arrive on the scene there at about 170 miles an hour.
The casino in the background, and then the precipitous drop downhill to Mirabeau, and then down to the harbor front. While we have the opportunity, let's take a look at our BMW storylines for today's race. Starting with you, David.
Well, the front row. We've got Jarno Trulli for his first ever front row position, and of course Jenson Button with only his 2nd. They were teammates just a couple of years ago. 40 of 50 races have been won here by the top 3 on the grid. The pole has only won 18. The last one was Mika Hakkinen 6 years ago. It's going to be a very fraught front row. They must be as nervous as kittens.
My storyline is all about Ferrari and what is Michael up to. We know that all the teams are desperate to win the Monaco Grand Prix, and there's no doubt Ferrari are keen to keep their winning streak alive and their potential for the perfect season. Is it possible that Michael just got it all wrong in qualifying, or is he carrying more fuel? If he had enough fuel to do another 6 laps over the front row of Trulli and Button, he would be about 0.6 off in qualifying pace, and that is about what it is. So let's see how that race develops, whether or not Michael will have the ability to stop out in the Ferrari, then put in those quick series of laps.
Along the famous waterfront, virtually unchanged from those great newsreel pictures of the 1930s. For my part, I'm concerned about the weather. When we woke up this morning, we were told there was a 50% chance of rain on today's race. It certainly doesn't look at it like that right now. But another factor has also loomed. This morning, there was a comprehensive power failure throughout the Principality. There was a question as to whether or not we were going to get these pictures and sounds up onto the satellite at all. And if that should recur, well, who knows what might happen. But if it gets wet, throw the bookmakers' odds right out the window.
Yeah.
Boy, look at old Michael putting some desperate heat in those rear tyres. Look at that. Throw the thing into the wall if he's not careful.
Around the Rasgas corner.
Well,
the other thing Michael Schumacher's got to contend with is on the dirty side of the track going down to Saint-Devote.
Yes, absolutely. And there was talk that the Ferrari team just could not get consistency out of these new super soft Bridgestone tyres, which would tend to imply, of course, that Ferrari have made the decision on Saturday morning, when the decision has to be made for tyre compound choice, to go onto the harder of the two compounds. And maybe that's why Michael Schumacher now desperate to try and get some heat into that hard compound rubber again on those rear tyres to optimize that launch off the start line.
The field taking a long time to get back to their grid spots, and a lot of guys having to slip the clutch down there at the very tight final corner. Anthony Noguez, named for the cigarette maker who came up with the original idea to hold an auto race on the streets of Monaco. Now they're coming to position. Turn up the volume for the most important start of the year, the Grand Prix of Monaco. Blinking red lights.
Yeah, aborted start.
Aborted start.
Well, we can't see where that problem was. We should look out for a marshal's yellow flag, which would indicate which car has stalled. All the drivers' arms would be in the air waving, but because of the curve of the start-finish straight there, we're having trouble to see what it is. All the mechanics will now stream back out and go through the procedure of putting the cooling fans back onto the car to try and dissipate all that latent heat build-up under the tight confines of these cars' bodywork.
Now, I think it's critical that they get to those cars and get those fans blowing on those hot radiators as quickly as they can.
Boy, oh boy, I tell you what, though, for the driver's point of view, what an absolute gut-wrenching thing this must be.
Well, that's what it is right there. That's the coolant out of the radiators. The green fluid, not really an antifreeze solution, but it's a solution that's put into the radiators to keep the boiling point high so you can run more pressure in the radiators.
Now, we're hearing that Olivier Panis, the 96 race winner, came to a stop short of his pit box. We haven't seen that yet in the pictures.
Yeah, they'll jack the cars up and put the tyre heating blankets back around the tyres to try and preserve as much heat in those tyres as possible. Still waiting for confirmation to see which car actually caused the delay. But it is an absolute pain for everybody, because all that equipment has to be taken back from the pit facility we were looking at earlier on, back onto the grid, the electronic starters, the laptops, the tyre warmers, the generators to power the blankets up.
There's Olivier Panis, who will have to move to the back of the grid if, indeed, it's his problem that caused the aborted start.
Oh, boy, I mean, I just can't imagine how Jarno Trulli, 119 goes to get his first pole, and the whole thing's aborted. Jenson Button, who's had tremendous pressure put on him by everybody this year, including this British press, his second time on the front row. Ooh, good.
And they're going to have to take a close look at that fluid lying on the ground, too, and get that cleaned up. That is the fast side of the racetrack, and that whole column of cars does not want to come to a wet spot. We'll be back. Welcome back live to Monaco. There's Charlie Whiting, organizes the race for the international governing body, the FIA. Grid being cleared once again. Now it's all unofficial, but our understanding is that Olivier Panis stalling short of his pit box was the reason for the aborted start. As a result, he will drop to the back of the grid as the cars roll off to make another formation lap, and the race will be shortened to 77 laps.
Well, the teams were caught off guard by Charlie Weisson's decision, I think, to start this race. You saw the guys trying to desperately get those tyre trolleys away off the grid prior to the start. You see a lot of panic by the mechanics to unplug the generators and the tyre warmers off the cars and get the grid cleared ASAP.
Boy, and those guys started those engines a bit on the premature. Of course, you got to start it with the mechanics there because the only way you can get it started. But running for a long time, and after that previous slow exploration lap, now they've got to do another one. These engines are going to be pretty hot before this race starts. We've already seen fluid coming out of Jarno Trulli, the pole sitter's engine.
Now those balconies crammed with people. We understand tickets for this event run as high as $600 for a grandstand seat, and Panis is stuck again. What if his clutch is broken?
Oh boy.
Well, he's obviously got some problems. We saw some smoke coming out of the bodywork on Panis's car. And you're right, the only way to get these cars started, David, is to have the mechanics there, because there are no onboard starters on Formula One cars. The teams do not want to pay the weight penalty for having a starter, an air bottle to keep it supplied with pressure, or the electronics and the extra battery. So to get around that, they do not have a starting system on board at all. The mechanics started
with in gear, isn't it? It's stuck in a high gear by the look of things. It's got its own motion there, but it wouldn't go, sort of thing. I think it's stuck in top gear or something.
Well, he could probably have a hydraulics problem then to the gearbox selector.
Yeah. If they don't get the... Oh, okay, they are going to
push them off.
I was going to say, if they don't get it off, they would have to have another aborted start.
Well, they will now push the Toyota into the pit lane exit. And he'll have to start the race from there, if at all, if they can get it worked, if they can get the car working.
What an exit for the 96 race winner.
Yeah. You know, that's the thing about Formula One cars. You work on them, you nurse them, you take care of them, you bang hours and hours into the things, and if they're going to let you down, they do it on the grid.
They always do it on the grid or at the first corner for the driver. And, of course, you know, Toyota has got one of the biggest budgets in Formula One, so not very good to see one of their cars being pushed off with the mechanical.
Let's take a look at the weather conditions as we approach the restart. Temperature a warm 73 degrees. Track temp at 109 Fahrenheit. Fairly high humidity, but otherwise a beautiful day. And that is amazing considering the weather reports this morning that rain was nearly certain.
A lot of empty grandstand seats on that last. I would have thought that would have been a good spot there, because you can see over there into the new pit lane, and you can see the Rasgas corner too. Some of these overhead shots giving you an idea of just how difficult it is to overtake here.
You see that they've managed to fire up the car again. The car in gear, that's why you saw the wheels rotating, but on the rear jack. So now the driver managed to get neutral, stalled again.
Someone just throw a rag at the car. Getting a little frustrated.
Well, these
so
guys
we'll try it again.
They'll be keen to get off very quick here, Bob, because of that heat underneath the bodywork building up again.
Good location in the pit box for Jarno Trulli. Clean lines on that left side of the track as you look at it. Can't tell whether they're going to get Olivier Panis back into this race or not. It looks like they're staging a start for him. Once again, turn up the volume. Who will be first to Sandoval?
Smoke coming off somebody there.
Good line. Ooh, from the middle of the pack. Takuma Sato splitting the Ferrari. Going around his teammate at Sandoval.
Oh, and there's somebody work off. Somebody has lost a wing element or something there going down into Sandoval.
Trulli and Alonso, 1-2 for Renault.
There's some more bodywork. I think there was a wing. Oh,
one of the Minardis?
It's one of the Minardis. And I think Coulthard or Raikkonen may have lost some bodywork off the front wing element.
It might have been the Ferrari of Schumacher, because Sato, when he came up through the field there, he was bouncing off everybody, including Michael Schumacher, who he eased over to the left there. What a start from Takuma.
Trulli and Alonso, then Button and Sato, then Raikkonen, and then the two Ferraris. And then David Coulthard.
Can you imagine being a marshal in there for the entire race?
I've walked through that tunnel. Christian Klein is done. He's nosed it into the barrier.
Yeah, that's at the hairpin. Now, what does he do? Well, that's what he did. He was up on the curbing.
He's riding his wing, which is stuck under his front wheels.
Yeah. Boy, that's the mistake that Takuma Sato made yesterday at the chicane. Going into the chicane, he made an unforced error by putting his wheel on the curb on the outside, which is exactly what Christian Klein did then.
Well, I think Klein was struggling by the fact that his wing element was already damaged, David, and it was underneath the car. I don't think it was the curbing which damaged the wing. Maybe if we get another shot of that, it'll become a little clearer. There was a lot of smoke coming off Raikkonen's car right at the start. That was what we saw. That puff of smoke at the start, but it didn't seem to affect him once he got underway.
Michael Schumacher back in 6th in his quest for his 6th straight win.
And the Renault is again Alonso jumping into 2nd from that 2nd row. The Renaults just have these ability to make fantastic starts.
Look at that course marshal right out there in the road with the yellow flag.
Well, I wouldn't be standing there, sunshine. Oh, those guys breaking down the hill.
That was Felipe Massa and the Sauber who nearly reduced the course marshal's shoe size.
Well, the marshals around here are very quick at getting the cars out of the way.
Sato under attack. That's Raikkonen and the 2 Ferraris. Sato is holding up the
Oh, he's smoking.
Yes, smoke coming out of Honda.
He's losing power.
Oh, no.
Boy, Takuma Sato is not having much luck with his Honda engines this year. The Honda going much better than before, but he has lost 2 races in the last 4 laps with a blown engine. It looks like he's going to lose it a lot earlier in this one.
Well, I'm saying that smoke was from Raikkonen at the start of the race, and of course Sato was lined up directly behind Raikkonen. I wonder whether or not it was actually coming out of Sato's car.
Or smoke from that Monaco spec Honda engine. There may have been a little tire smoke mixed up. Meanwhile, he's holding up this whole parade, and he may be coating Kimi Raikkonen's visor with oil.
Boy, I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be in Kimi Raikkonen's shoes. He doesn't seem to be backing off at all, but I mean, there's obviously the potential for that thing to grenade right in front of him. And of course, around here, there's nowhere to go.
Meanwhile, Jarno Trulli and Jenson Button are checking out up front. Fernando Alonso in 2nd has just set fast lap of the race. Through the Poitiers corner. Down almost to sea level. Here's the newly reprofiled piscine or swimming pool corners. A new pavement down to Rescatto.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, where is he?
He's along the harbor front near the swimming pool, I think.
I think so, yeah. Oh, my goodness me.
Well, let's get
Oh,
the shot.
I was wondering about that.
Oh, there's a car upside down.
Is that
one of the Saubers?
It's Fizzy Keller if it's a Sauber.
Oh,
now everyone coming to a stop. The road must be blocked up ahead.
Oh, they want to red flag it, yeah. They want to red flag it.
Safety car, SC.
Well, we saw one marshal putting the red flag out, which would stop the race, but then we saw the safety car signal being displayed, so I wonder whether or not
it can't be both.
It can't be both, whether one of the marshals acted on his own accord there without really being given the correct signal.
There's Fisichella out of the Sauber.
Oh, thank goodness for that. What a horrible, heart-stopping moment that was.
Just everyone heading for the pit lane, watching that smoke rise from the harbor front. And I had this horrible flashback to Lorenzo Bandini.
I'm going to have a look, see what happened right there. And of course, it's just like a smoke grenade going off for the guys behind. Look at it. 0 visibility.
Well, how did Kimi Raikkonen get through there?
Well, I'm wondering if Sato got past. No?
Going through to back. Oh, there he goes.
Raikkonen, yeah, manages to get through. And then after that,
well, Sato got it out of the way as best he could. I think Fisichella.
There's Fisichella right there. Oh, right over David Coulthard's McLaren.
Yep,
so
took the rear wing off.
Wow.
Cristiano Di Marta weaving his way through the wreckage there, so that looks like David Coulthard's day is probably run as well.
Oops.
Over-exuberant flag marshal there. Unfortunately, let's go of the flag, but that is...
Well, they're either brave or crazy, these guys.
Well, of course, Kimi Raikkonen turned out to be the lucky one there because he was so close that he could actually get by while it was happening before the smoke screen came down.
So Coulthard is done.
I tell you what, they'll all be pretty mad at the BAR team and at Takuma Sato for carrying on there, because it was pretty clear. The data must have been showing, I would have thought, in the BAR pit that engine was about to explode.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know if you can expect BAR to retire their car on the probability they might have an engine failure.
I agree. Just a tough situation all around.
Remember, we saw the same thing a couple of years ago with David Coulthard's McLaren puffing smoke out. It was overfilling from the remote reservoir on the car, and they managed to cure that by the telemetry.
And look at the start. There is Sato. Look at this start.
It was a dynamite start. This is a better view of it. Look now, boom, into Ferrari of Schumacher.
I don't know if he got into Michael. It was certainly close.
He got into him, all right, big time. Which, of course, allowed Raikkonen through and jolly nearly allowed Barrichello through.
Yeah, this is the view. Watch this. Watch the right side of your screen.
And watch for the puff of smoke. There, already. You just saw it right there. The first little trace.
And, of course, he tried to go around his teammate at Saint-Devote. Got himself locked up there going into Saint-Devote, going up the hill, but
just a wall of Michelins up ahead.
All in all, a pretty spectacular start by Takuma Sato. And Kimi Raikkonen up there on the inside, knocking down the pylon.
Let's see if we can see where those body parts came from flying through the air. Christian Klein gets damaged. No. There's Sato. With an armed guard? No, just a course marshal. BAR garage. Well, we've certainly had our share of drama thus far. There's Sato's car being wheeled away down by the harbor side. We'll take this opportunity for a break and be back for yet more drama from the Formula One Grand Prix of Monaco. You can see disbelief in the eyes of the McLaren crewmen. Their man, David Coulthard, is out of the Monaco Grand Prix. There they are looking at the damaged car. He came to a stop following Takuma Sato's engine meltdown. There's Sato walking back in the smoke. Coulthard came to a stop and was hit up the back by Giancarlo Fisichella. We are under the safety car with 5 laps complete of 77 scheduled. Cars out of the race as a result of the incident. Sato, Coulthard, and Fisichella.
Boy, oh boy, I tell you what, Sato made a start there that's going to be something that's talked about for a long time. It was a brilliant piece of driving.
Now, under this yellow flag and safety car period, Ralf Schumacher and Nick Heidfeld both pitted for fuel. Lights are out on the safety car. We expect to get back to racing here in Monaco.
Oh, he's staying out. Now, Jarno truly must be thinking, are we ever going to get this race? My first race where I'm on the pole. David Coulthard looking on pretty disbelieving.
Two-time winner of the race, former pole sitter, and a man whose career at McLaren appears about to end. He would desperately like to get a result before he departs the team after 9 years with them. Once again, a replay of Sato's engine meltdown. This is in Casino Square. Got a long way to go yet.
Kimi Raikkonen at this stage must be thinking, what is that engine going to do in front of me? But it doesn't seem to be phasing him one bit. And right behind him, Michael Schumacher. Through the Grand Hotel hairpin.
And then down by the harbor front. Here it comes.
Just look at that smoke.
Left side cylinder bank.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Whew. Interesting to see how the vortex is working off the rear wings. I always like to see that sort of thing. Don't like to see the engines blow up, but the aerodynamicists will have a look at that shot.
Nobody's slipping and sliding behind him yet. And of course, this is where it all got very chaotic. There's Fisichella's Sauber being put back on its wheels. He climbed out all right. Here's the accident scene. Watch for Coulthard to come to a stop and the Sauber to come tumbling through the smoke. Right there.
Ooh.
Watch the reaction of the man in the white T-shirt by the side of the road.
And the marshals were on track at that point, Bob, right? So, and they were incredibly lucky not to have been injured by that airborne Sauber. There's Fisichella
being walked away.
Well, I had high hopes of Fisichella today. He qualified pretty well, and I thought he might come through and certainly get in the points.
Now, Jenson Button has to be wondering about his Honda engine after what just happened to his teammate. Safety car pulls in this time with 6 laps complete. coming around to complete lap 7 of 77. Single file restart.
Boy, Alonso right on the tail of his teammate now. As Steve has said earlier on this weekend, the new Renault engine doesn't have quite the power of the Honda or the Ferrari or the BMW for that matter, but it does have great torque, and of course around these tight streets a bit of torque goes a long way.
Yeah, it's about
Kimi Raikkonen's got around Schumacher.
About 70 brake down on the Honda engine in third place there, but you're absolutely right, David. Great torque, which is the pure pulling grunt of the engine out of these slow speed corners, is what's giving Renault an advantage. I spent a session in 1998 watching the qualifying session from inside that tunnel, and I can tell you, it is absolutely fearsome, the noise rebounding around that tunnel.
Now here's the thing, Michael Schumacher on those Bridgestones, the harder Bridgestone which they had to use in qualifying, which people say is why he was down there in fourth spot. On this opening lap, Montoya right behind him, the Renault's pulling away. Is he going to be able to pull away? Is he going
Juan Pablo Montoya going around Rubens Barrichello. That's for 6th.
Same deal. On that opening lap,
yeah.
the Michelin's coming to life much quicker than the Bridgestones, and Barrichello unable to hold him off. Now, as the race unfolds, will Schumacher be able to close the gap to Button?
No team orders at Renault, we are told. Fernando Alonso was running his teammate Jarno Trulli much tighter earlier on. We'll see whether he can go after him. Meanwhile, Juan Pablo Montoya is all over the back of Michael Schumacher for 5th.
Absolutely, and these two guys don't exactly love each other.
There was some speculation before the race if Michael Schumacher came up behind you, who would get out of the way? The last guy you'll hear mentioned in that context is Juan Pablo Montoya, and Schumacher knows Montoya will not hesitate to attack if he sees an opening.
Schumacher not making ground on Montoya, and he's not making ground on Raikkonen right in front of him. Well, they're going to be careful now. A lot of that oil dry around.
Sandoval, climb up the hill.
This is where you need power.
Yeah. Well, those two cars are about evenly matched there. The gap between them didn't close down or stretch out, so that's indicative of about equal horsepower and wing settings on these two cars.
See the cars avoiding that big bump on the left side of the road. They do that every time on the run down from Casino Square to Mirabeau.
See, the teams, the engineers, want to crank as much downforce on the car as possible to help through the low-speed corners, but you need the horsepower in the engine to try and drive the car along with the drag penalty imposed by running those big wings.
Schumacher now closing in just a little bit on Raikkonen. But of course, closing in around here and getting around somebody are two completely different things.
Of course, we've got that fuel load speculation, guys, as well to bear in mind. And if we think that maybe Schumacher was carrying enough fuel for around another 6 laps, he could well have that weight penalty. Still, although the weight penalty is decreasing, it's decreasing on all the cars. So the gap at this moment between the load and the weight penalty remains about static between the Williams and the Ferrari. About 0.4 of a second for every 10 kilos, every 22 pounds of fuel on board.
Meanwhile, they'll be crunching the numbers in the pit lane to figure out how much did that yellow flag safety car period save us on fuel? How much farther can we go?
About every 3 laps behind the safety car will extend their pit stop window in racing trim by 1 lap.
Fast lap of the race for Jenson Button, 1:16.170.
The strategy, of course, in the Ferrari camp would have been to have stayed out a couple of 3 laps more than the Renaults, try and crank out some real quick laps and overtake them in the pit stop. The problem with that scenario now is that he's 5 seconds behind. Well, he ain't going to crank out 5 seconds in 2 or 3 laps.
Button keeps laying down spectacular segments, but he's still about 2 seconds behind the front-running pair of Renault.
Both of the VAR Hondas were very quick in the first sector, which includes going up the hill in qualifying. They were both the fastest in that sector. They seem to lose out in the second sector, which includes going through the station, the Grand Hotel hairpin, and through the chicane and the tunnel.
V10 engines revving to some 19,000 RPM, more than 300 revolutions per second. Pneumatically driven gearboxes, shifting gear in a microsecond.
20 milliseconds in between each gear shift.
Truly sets the fastest lap.
1:15.804. It's a big jump from what Button did.
And look at this, Barrichello coming under pressure from Mark Webber. Mark Webber, who's had a desperate weekend. Well, all the Jaguar weekend has been a disaster. He's had 2 engine fires. They had 2 crashes in qualifying, and Christian Klein, of course, crashed out on the first lap in the race.
Barrichello looks slow. Is that Ferrari sounding right?
Barrichello is slow. That last lap was a 1:17.1 as opposed to Trulli's 15.8.
Well, Bob, you were very quick to pick up that engine note change on Schumacher's car at the last race when they had a broken manifold exhaust header on that car, the Inconel weld breaking.
I think Barrichello may have the same problem today.
Boy, the tension in the engineering departments now must be absolutely immense as they keep stamping away at those calculators and watching out the window and trying to figure out what everybody else is going to do now.
Truly done another fast lap there to 15.7, so this is not...
Oh, Mark Webber!
Oh, the Jaguar weekend continues to unravel.
Oh, my gosh. And once again, the marshals are forced out onto the roadway. This is down at Rascasse, I believe.
Boy,
Yes.
I tell you what, they're pretty brave boys there.
Well, you said it, David. Engine fires, wheels being torn off on barriers, and now this for Mark Webber, who had to qualify his backup car.
Obviously a driveline failure of some sort. It's just...
Well, there's Nick Heidfeld, who's moving up. He'll move up to 10th with Webber's retirement. And we're hearing Webber may be making other plans for his Formula One future. Think of Mark Webber and the Williams team in the same frame in the weeks to come. Pit stop. Montoya.
Montoya in.
Long stop.
Wow, a lot of fuel going in.
The defending champion of this event, one of only 2 drivers to win both the Indianapolis 500 and the crown jewel of the Formula One World Championship, the Grand Prix here in Monaco.
Now, have to bear in mind, Montoya cannot cross that yellow line. Now he's okay.
Graham Hill is the other.
Graham Hill, of course, another 5-time winner here. He just seemed to sort of come to life here.
Now this is critical for Montoya. Heavy with fuel, fresh tires. Last year, the fastest lap, both in and out of the pits, was consistently set by Juan Pablo Montoya in the Williams.
He had about 7 seconds of fuel taken on board there, which would give him 32 laps, so he should be good to go to about lap 46.
Boy, truly on an incredible march here. Practically every lap he does is faster than the lap before. He's pulling away from his teammate, and his teammate is gradually being caught up by Jenson Button.
And let's not be premature, but recall at the last race in Spain 2 weeks ago, Jordan pit stop here for Giorgio Pantano, racing a Grand Prix car in Monaco for the first time. Jarno Trulli made the podium and said he was dedicating it to Dino. Dino turns out to be Dino Tosso, his former race engineer with the Jordan team, who came over to Renault following Trulli, now works in the aerodynamic department. He's 35 years old. He's been diagnosed with inoperable cancer. Can you imagine what it would be like for Trulli if he could win this race?
It's fantastic.
Well, he's certainly going all out to try and do that now, pulling away from his teammate. And of course, this is something that Trulli needs to do, because last year Alonso was put well and truly in the shade, and there's talk of him being moved on to somewhere else by his not only his team manager but his personal manager, Flavio Briatore.
Well, he's always been a bit of a head scratcher, particularly for the Italians, to whom Jarno Trulli is a god in go-kart racing. Won everything in the world there was to win in go-karts. He was considered a natural to move up to Formula One and win the World Championship on 4 wheels with a racing car, but it just hasn't happened for him. Problems for Jordan. In the pits. Pantano is done.
Pantano.
Well, Jenson Button still cranking out laps just a little bit quicker than Alonso, and I do mean a little bit quicker, but he is gradually pulling him in.
I think I'd hold that thing back in the garage yet.
No, I was just thinking that. I know those guys know what they're doing, but I would want to be ready with an extinguisher at that point.
Yeah, looks like Pantano got back on track, but it was never right after that pit stop. Well, I guess his record remains clean. 3 starts in Formula 3000 here, 3 retirements. Now 1 start in a Formula One car and retired.
The Renault looks good over those curves. As Steve said, you've got to have relatively soft suspension here, not so much that the car rolls right off all the time, but it needs to be able to get over those curves, and you need really good mechanical grip out of all these slow corners.
On board with Michael, who is 8 seconds behind Trulli. Lost another half second to Trulli on that last lap. And he's closing up on Kimi Raikkonen's McLaren.
This is going to be a big problem for Schumacher now with that McLaren. There's no doubt that Ferrari is a superior chassis to that struggling McLaren chassis. They've made improvements this year at this race, I would say, but
enormous improvement.
Yeah, but Michael is going to want to get past this car very quick. It ain't easy around here, as we always say.
Checking the gap. Schumacher trails by, oh, he's taking time off of the race leader. We'll take a break and return. Welcome back to live Speed Channel coverage of round 6 of the Formula One World Championship for 2004, the Grand Prix of Monaco. Pit stop for Kimi Raikkonen. Pitting from P3, Jenson Button pitted just ahead of him and is back out.
Interesting statistic there that Jenson Button on his first sector out of the pits was the quickest of the day, and of course that is the thing to do if you can try and pull off those super quick laps on your in and out lap.
Well, we're seeing these guys coming in early. In fact, it would be about the window for a 3-stop race, but they're putting more fuel on board than a 3-stopper, which is kind of indicating that what we're seeing is an early stop for a 2-stop race. These guys should be coming in again around lap 52 to 54, which would be an ideal second stop window. So we're seeing an early 2-stop strategy playing out.
Raikkonen rejoins the race in 7th, right behind Jenson Button.
Alonso just cranked out the fastest lap of the race, a 15.295. That is quick in race trim.
Cristiano Ronaldo holding on to 5th place in the Toyota. His teammate Olivier Panis did get started in this race and avoided the big schmozzle in which Giancarlo Fisichella ran over the back of David Coulthard's McLaren. Panis runs 11th and on the lead lap. Oh, not Juan Pablo Montoya. There's Nick Heidfeld in front of him. The Ferrari team is in the pit lane. Like Rubens Barrichello will be coming in. Meanwhile, his teammate Michael Schumacher has just set the 2 fastest first 2 sectors of the race thus far. Schumacher across start finish with a 14 to set fast lap of the race.
Some of you may have noticed some flashing gold tape.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
On the back of the suspension on the Ferrari there. Nothing to worry about what it is.
Schumacher has decreased that gap to Trulli, but I don't know whether it's enough. He's still 9.6 seconds behind him. 6.6 seconds behind him.
Well, Michael is always ready to pick up points where he can find them. Even if he doesn't get his record 6th straight victory to start the season, if he can get ahead of, say, a Kimi Raikkonen and Alonso, anybody he can get. Schumacher 14.809, took a 10th off his previous fast lap of the race.
Well, he wants to make sure that he at least comes out in front of Kimi Raikkonen when he does make his stop, which must be coming up pretty close, Steve.
Yeah, they're all panning out to be that very early stop for a two-stopper. Most of the cars come in about 6.5 seconds, 8 seconds of fuel. So between lap 51, 53, 54, it's all on Schumacher now. How much fuel did he have on board? We'll see whether or not that was hampering him in qualifying. Provisional qualifying, the team were actually saying it was really the track had us over. It was way too slippy. We couldn't get the tyres to work in the provisional qualifying session. Look at that. At Renault and Ross Brawn at Ferrari worked together during Benetton's glory days, and they're very close friends. Ross Brawn was recently at Pat Simmons' wedding as a guest, so they get on very well personally, but this is a real battle of technology and engineering finesse.
It's a sport. Ernest Hemingway said so.
I just saw a shot there of the Ferrari mechanics using a compressed air gun on the fuel nozzle, and that'll be just to clear any little bits of grit and sand away to make sure that they don't get any binder when they put the fuel nozzle onto the nozzle on the car.
The top 4 cars, Trulli, Alonso, Schumacher, and Cristiano Romano, have not pitted. Trulli just turned in a 14.8. Schumacher answers with a 14.4.
Did you see the car then? I mean, it is really dancing on that line between adhesion and no adhesion at all.
Well, this is why people have come out over the years to watch the likes of Fangio and Stewart and Clark and Senna and Prost and Mansell, and this man, Michael Schumacher, just raising his game.
Look at that. Just going out of the picture is Alonso, who's now Schumacher's got in his sight, so he could leapfrog past him for second at his stop.
You can feel the tension, guys, building up now in the pit lane for these.
There's Ralph Schumacher. Schumacher was very fast, second quick in qualifying, but because of an engine change on Thursday, started in 12th, and that is where he is currently running, and he's not going very quickly.
How does that car change direction that quick? Left, right, through that chicane.
With half the wheels off the ground at the same time. There's Alonso in. Is that Alonso or Trulli?
One of the Renaults. Jarno Trulli, the race leader, is in. Lap 24.
Nice and calm, guys. We've done it before 1,000 times.
Cristiano Romano has also pitted the Toyota and rejoined in 6th.
Beautiful launch out the box. Now, the question is, how can Ferrari's crew respond to that?
Schumacher just did another fastest lap, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Their pit stop will have to be blindingly quick.
As the drivers climb that hill to Casino Square, there's a huge video screen on the right. They put it up every year for many years. I remember Ayrton Senna once telling me he would watch that screen as he climbed the hill to see where his rivals were on the television coverage. This flying up this hill at 160, 170 miles an hour.
Unbelievable. But that's what it takes to be a great champion. You need to be thinking out of the box. You need to have those lightning reflexes to be able to do it.
Well, Sterling Moss, of course, used to pick a girl out in the crowd, a pretty girl in the crowd. He'd give her a wave all the time. He'd keep looking at the girls in the crowd.
Along the other Renault, Alonso pits.
Boy, if that's a Toyota in front of him, if it should get out first.
That would be Panis. D'Amato's already pitted.
Oh, very good.
9 seconds, 8.5 seconds of Trulli.
Well, that's a bit of a
9 for Alonso.
There goes his teammate, Trulli. He gets out ahead of the Toyota. Statistics through the first 5 rounds of the championship this year show that the fastest team in the pit lane, race in and race out, are the Renault boys.
They're good. There's no doubt about it. And the former chief mechanic from Benetton that originally started training those guys before they became Renault is, of course, Nigel Stepney, who is now race technical manager at Ferrari.
Schumacher getting out of the way of the Renault. Michael Schumacher now into the race lead, but he is the only car, particularly among the front runners, who has yet to make his stop, and he's still throwing the Ferrari around.
And of course, now we're seeing that he was carrying that extra fuel on board.
Will he pit this time?
Here he comes.
Here's the race. Truly 14.5 seconds behind. Alonso 14.9, Button 23.7. Schumacher should come out in 3rd place. Here come the Renaults.
There he goes.
Oh, this is going to be close for 3rd, I think. Truly, here goes the 2nd. There's a 3rd place car. Oh no, that was one of the Minardi's. So Michael will rejoin in 3rd. Here comes Ralph Schumacher, then one of the Toyotas, and then Button behind those 2 cars with traffic to deal with, and Michael ahead of him on the road. And Joel Bumgarner, the Hungarian rookie.
Oh, he doesn't need that on his outlap.
All right, there you go. Good sportsmanship from the Hungarian.
So, having played that first round of pit stops out, this is what we're looking at, guys. I think Michael Schumacher will have enough fuel for 2, maybe 3 laps over the Renaults. What I'm suggesting now is it's up to Michael Schumacher to stalk the Renaults. He doesn't necessarily need to overtake them. He needs to stalk them, get right up behind them, and then as soon as they pit, then we'll see the Ferrari take off.
Don't you think this guy knows that?
Absolutely. I was saying, these guys, Pat Simmons and Ross Brawn, very close friends, and they know exactly what each other's thinking. This is a game of chess playing out right here. Actually, Jarno Trulli's race engineer, Alan Permain, used to be Michael Schumacher's electronics engineer during his time at Benetton. There's another look. Changeover between these crews.
Look at that.
Renault dancing.
Look at that correction.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
Talk about reflexes of a trapeze artist. Except this guy's doing it at 160 miles an hour with concrete walls on both sides. No safety net here, folks. We'll be back to Monaco in a moment. Welcome back live to the streets of Monte Carlo from the World Feed broadcasters. This was Juan Pablo Montoya trying to attack Nick Heidfeld for 7th. The German and the Jordan having none of it. And he remains in 7th place. Meanwhile, while we were away, oh, there he goes. Heidfeld. Why would Heidfeld, it looked like he slowed. Why would he give up the position?
There's something hanging off the back of the Jordan. It's either some wiring loom or some cable that's flailing around behind the rear wing.
You can pick it out.
And he goes down to the Grand Hotel hairpin. And of course, right behind him now is coming Felipe Massa, who's going to try and have a go at Heidfeld.
Good battle between 2 experienced drivers. Now, while we were away, Kimi Räikkönen retired the McLaren from 5th place. He becomes the 8th car out of the race.
So a desperately disappointing day for McLaren. 2 cars out before the race is half done, and I was honoured enough to go to the opening of their new factory last week. And since then, they certainly come to life this week. And if their new factory gets into its stride, I don't see how anybody's ever going to beat them at anything. It is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
900 people show up for work every day.
Can you imagine the Social Security step for a start-off?
Well, the team reporting they saw something on the telemetry on Raikkonen's car, whether it was engine or gearbox related, but decided to call it a day, probably fearing that engine detonation and wanting to stop it so they can investigate exactly what it is before the engine basically self-destructs itself.
With the fuel loads they've got at the moment, Trulli and Alonso are both slightly quicker than Michael Schumacher with the fuel load he's got.
Yeah, we expect the 2 Renaults should be good to about lap 58. Michael Schumacher.
Well, he may need to do something soon because Trulli is about to be blocked by slower traffic, and that will give Michael Schumacher an opportunity to close up. Schumacher's pace is hardly diminished by the heavy fuel. 15-9 last time by.
He picked up some time, didn't he? Ooh, look at this.
Nick Heidfeld and Felipe Massa.
Well, of course, these two guys are dicing for a point paying position, so they aren't going to be jumping out of the way.
No.
Although Felipe Massa's pulling over there. You hate to give up too much time, though.
Climbing the hill.
Nick Heidfeld's not about to give away.
No.
He can see this is a great opportunity. He saw Felipe Massa let this guy through, let Truly through, so he's thinking, well, I'll make hay while the sun shines here.
Yeah, this is where you get him, down to Mirabeau. Alonso going to try it.
And here goes Massa. That's what he was frightened of.
Yeah. You sneaky devil. And there comes Schumacher. If you're just joining us, it took 2 attempts to start this Grand Prix of Monaco. Olivier Panis stalled the Toyota, eventually started from the pit lane. Just a couple of laps in, Takuma Sato lost the engine in his BAR Honda as Jean Todt in the Ferrari pits listens to Ross Brawn, his technical director, work on race strategy. When Sato's engine let go, Giancarlo Fisichella in the Sauber ran into the back of David Coulthard's McLaren, taking both drivers out of the race. Meanwhile, the 2 Renaults of Jarno Trulli and Fernando Alonso blasted into a big race lead. Michael Schumacher has been working his way back from 6th place, trying to come to terms with him, and that's the way they run right now. Trulli less than a second ahead of his teammate Alonso. Michael Schumacher just a couple of seconds behind.
Well, he got badly built there by Nick Heidfeld as well.
Is 6th. Those could be the first points of the year for the heavily funded Toyota team. Now, the United States Grand Prix is only 3 weeks away, June 20th, but you still have time to get your tickets. Contact the Speedway ticket office at 1-800-822-INDY or check out the website at www.indianapolismotorspeedway.com. Just like last year, buy a race day ticket, and on Thursday, you can walk the pit lane and get an up-close look at these amazing machines.
And Michael Schumacher has won 5 of the first race this year. Wants to make it 6 in a row. He's also won 5 times here at Monte Carlo, so nobody knows his way around here better than he does. Jenson Button seemed to have come off worst of all in all those pit stops.
Well, if Michael can pull this off, it'll go down with some of his greatest drives. Jean Todt now managing director of all of the Ferrari operations, including the construction of their street cars. What a career he's having.
The difference between Jean Todt's demeanor and Ross Brawn's is light and day, isn't it? Ross Brawn always seems so relaxed and calm. Nothing seems to faze him. You look at Jean Todt, he's like a nervous ferret. His eyes are going all over the place, every monitor.
As we talked about during practice on Thursday, if you could see his hands, you would see Band-Aids on each of his fingertips to keep him from chewing his nails.
A nervous ferret. Okay, I guess that'll do. Because Michael Schumacher should have won here probably in 2000, but he had his engine heat got to the suspension and melted it when he was absolutely clearly on a huge roll, so he could easily have 6 wins here by now.
Yeah, that was a result of a cracked manifold, just like he had in the last race.
The 6-time world champion hurling the Ferrari around the streets of Monaco, but Jarno Trulli has the race lead and is drawing away. Welcome back live. 62nd running of the Formula One Grand Prix of Monaco. I'm Bob Varsha with David Hobbs and Steve Matchett. Glad to have you with us on a beautiful Sunday, as it's turned out to be in Monte Carlo. We're watching Jenson Button running 4th in the race behind Jarno Trulli, Fernando Alonso, and Michael Schumacher. The man behind him, Rubens Barrichello, we expect to stop first around 51 laps in, then Button, and then the front runners. Be sure to tune in later today here on Speed Channel at 11 a.m. Eastern Time for live coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series from Mont Tremblant in Canada. So far this season, there have been 3 races and 3 different winners in the Grand Am Series, so you never know who might take the checkers at the beautiful Mont Tremblant circuit in Quebec. That's the Rolex Sports Car Series today at 11 Eastern, live only here on Speed Channel.
Jenson Button is gradually winding in Michael Schumacher. He's now only 2.6 seconds behind. He was over 4 seconds behind, and Michael Schumacher in turn is losing out to Jarno Trulli. Well, Jarno Trulli had a slow lap on that last lap, he was lapping traffic. And they'll all have to lap the same traffic eventually.
Good look at Jensen's left front Michelin as the Minardi gets out of the way. Scholl, Baumgartner, this is Rescas.
It's just seen in the last few laps quite a reduction in track temperature. It was up, it peaked around 111 degrees. It's now dropped to 95. That will have some effect on the grip coefficient between the rubber and the asphalt. There's no doubt about that. Air temperatures stopped around the same.
Boy, that wasn't a bit of a smoke coming out the back of that car of Buttons, was it?
I'd say that, David. Of course, we've already had one absolutely cataclysmic failure from that Honda engine in the back of Sato's car. And there's no doubt the engineers would have been studying the telemetry.
See, look at that gap now to Ferrari, just right there.
Yeah.
Ooh, what happened?
There he is.
Oh, there he is. It didn't appear on that. Going through port gate.
Well, the speedy dry on the track, the result of Sato's accident. He also took out David Coulthard and Giancarlo Fisichella. We often use the words Monte Carlo and Monaco synonymously. We should not. Monte Carlo is just one of 4 neighborhoods or quarters that make up the Principality, the others being La Condamine, Fontville, and Monacoville, the old town, principally up on top of a huge promontory known as the Rock, where Prince Rainier's palace is, plus most of the government offices. And some very cool restaurants.
It's a beautiful spot. And I'd always say, if anybody asked which race should I go and see, suggest to me one of the Formula One races, I would always say Monaco. The atmosphere at the event is absolutely fantastic. As soon as the sessions are finished throughout the race weekend, the roads are opened up. They become public roads throughout the duration of the race weekend.
That's right.
You can walk right around the track.
They reopen them every day. Ralf Schumacher has been running about 3 seconds a lap off the pace.
Having an absolutely dreadful race after a fantastic qualifying time yesterday.
He pits from 9th place, just outside the points.
Watch Ralf just hit the pit lane speed limiter button to take it off. We're hearing reports that from the Williams guys that there is a problem with Ralf Schumacher's car, but we're not going to reveal what it is. That's Williams saying that, not us. We'd love to tell you. They won't tell us what it is.
He's got his teammate behind him on the road now. Here come the race leaders. Juan Pablo Montoya, the last unlapped car on the lead lap in 7th.
The gap between the 2 Renaults is staying the same. There's no indication yet. Well, there you go.
There's alert Pittman. He's obviously gripped by the drama at the moment.
Just another day at the office.
You've been seen on television, they're telling him.
It's a high-pressure job, this Formula One stuff. But there's no indication yet that Renault are thinking about team orders and dropping Alonso back to try and fault Michael Schumacher to give a cushion to Jarno Trulli to take that lead, to take the race win.
Well, the 2 Renault drivers are even Stevens in the World Championship at the moment, both with 21 points. So there'd be no reason for the Renault team to favour one over the other.
Well, I wouldn't say really to favour one over the other, but to favour the Renault win over the Ferrari challenge. Boy, again, that car's working well around there. Renault have done a lot of work in aerodynamic divisions to the chassis for this race. Of course, the chassis are in constant development throughout the season, and they will change from circuit to circuit. But here, they put a little aero wing on the roll hoop. They have a wing mounted on the deck, which is a way of getting around the regulations, which insist the teams are only allowed to use 2 elements on the rear wing. They've mounted one on the bodywork low down. And they've also got 2 estrade panels they've put on, and those are sort of carbon panels low down in front of the radiator inlets. If you have a look where the radiator ducts are, low down, you'll see 2 horizontal panels designed to turn the airflow underneath the chassis. Similar idea to what Williams have got on their car and Toyota on theirs, but something new for Renault.
Jenson Button just turned his personal best lap of the race at a 15.2, 4/10 quicker than Michael Schumacher ahead of him. That Olivier Panis getting a little creative with the Harborside chicane, the Nouvelle chicane, although it's been there for quite a long time. Well, I guess it would be Nouveau chicane if it was brand new. I'll get out the French dictionary. Meanwhile, we'll take a break and be back with more in a moment from Monaco. Jarno Trulli and Fernando Alonso. Renault, the new force in Formula One. Welcome back. A gift for Jean Todt and Ferrari. We are back under the safety car here, and there is the reason. In replay from the world feed, Fernando Alonso from second place in the Renault had a titanic wall banging in the high-speed tunnel under the Grand Hotel. Look at his crew. They cannot believe it. We'll give you another look at what happened. He was trying to pass Ralf Schumacher's Williams BMW in the tunnel. Watch this.
But of course he made the fatal area this late in the race. You can see all the rolled up rubber right there in the front of the screen. He tried to go around the outside. There's too much stuff offline in that tunnel. That was a very, very unwise thing to do. And he paid the penalty.
What he was thinking.
Well,
and then he gives Ralph the international signal for #1 as though it was somehow his fault.
I don't see it being Ralph's fault at all.
The road has got a camber there too, so you've got a double negative effect for you. You've got a road cambering away from you and all that rolled up rubber and dust in there.
It's an insane move.
It's exactly what happened to Sato, right? Did exactly the same thing a couple of years ago last year.
Trying to be helpful, that was.
Trying to be helpful.
Get out of the way.
Yeah, 2 years ago in the Jordan, pulled over and hit those marbles. Marbles, of course, all those little bits of rolled up rubber that get thrown off the tires throughout the duration of the race, off the racing line.
The technical term for it, of course, is clag.
Clag, absolutely.
As soon as the yellow flag and the safety car came out, drivers started diving for the pits. Jenson Button, as you saw, and that man, Jarno Trulli, both stopped. Michael Schumacher did not. So here we are on lap 44. Here's Trulli pitting.
Boy, what a blow to Team Renault.
Here's Juan Pablo Montoya also making his second stop. All this in replay. Michael Schumacher has not stopped, nor has his Ferrari teammate Rubens Barrichello in fourth.
Wow, that's a good move.
Cristiano D'Amato. And Alonso makes the long walk back.
Oh boy, how must he be feeling?
How are we going to explain this to the team?
Yeah, let's have another look.
You
Watch
can see all that stuff right here in the picture.
And then the car just won't steer.
No.
Well, Alonso, explain to me how that is Ralph's fault. I don't understand that at all. I don't understand his reaction after the accident. I can understand the frustration, sure.
Very, very lucky not to collect Ralph in that.
Absolutely.
Or Ralph collect him.
Saw the Williams squirming under braking to avoid the wreck.
Again, we're going to see the car exit. And there's a lot of debris. There's a lot of broken wheel rim as well as the carbon shards.
From the front wing there.
Yeah, and horrible debris. I mean, those little shards of aluminium wheel rim is not what you want around at all.
What a missed opportunity for the Renault team.
Well, you can understand why he wanted to get around, because Michael Schumacher breathing hot and heavy down his neck, but nevertheless, he probably should have waited until they came out of the tunnel.
You come out of the tunnel, you get him under braking for the chicane.
And I think Ralph would have probably let him through.
I think he definitely would have. I mean, he knows his race is shot at this point. He's running out of the points. The car may not be right. So here is the order. There's Trulli. And Montoya is following Schumacher, but he is a lap down in fifth. So Michael leads, and Trulli in second. These are all lap cars before we get to the third place car of Jenson Button. Apologize for the breakup of the audio. Another at the accident.
Tries to get it back, tries to get it not coming. The tunnel's turning, and bang into the wall.
The bits of rubber just flying around the road where they were picked up by the Michelins on the Renault. Scattered around.
Boy, the old billiard ball routine there, big time.
Now, we saw Truly pit and take on fuel just at that safety car period. Let's have another look at it. We're going to see right here, just before the safety car period, Renault were very quick and brought Jarno Trulli in. Now, it's important to see how much fuel went on board here, because I don't think they took on enough fuel to get the car to the end of the race. If they did, we haven't seen Michael Schumacher pit at the same period. If that's the case and Trulli can go the race distance, well, he's game over for Ferrari, and it's all gone down to Renault. But it's 5.5 seconds of fuel. I don't think Renault put enough fuel in the car to get the thing to the end of the race.
Are you surprised that Ferrari has not brought in either Schumacher or Barrichello yet under this yellow?
Now Michael has track position now.
He's going to have to do some blinding laps to pull out enough time to have a green flag stop. So maybe they're figuring like you that Trulli's going to have to make another stop anyway.
Everybody getting it.
Oh! Schumacher!
Oh.
What has happened? It's at the tunnel again.
Well, I wonder whether or not he caught debris or something that was left in the tunnel. Wow.
But he was behind the safety car. He couldn't have been going at any great speed to do that amount of damage.
Well, it's trying to know what's happened. It's ripped the track rod off the camber block on the left-hand front. Well, that's very unusual failure.
Well, I wonder if we saw on the pace lap, the warm-up lap, previous to both starts, him putting a lot of heat into his tyres with some pretty violent moves.
You don't think he
I wonder if he did it just a bit too violent, got on some grey stuff and hit the wall.
Wow. Well, he might be able to cruise back to the pits, but there ain't no way they're going to get that car back out into the race with any sort of possibility of scoring points.
And so it is over for Michael Schumacher's winning streak to open the season, just as it was for Nigel Mansell's. Now watch here. First car in line is Michael.
He's locked up there.
Oh, he's going to get...
thing's already failed. The car's had a suspension failure.
Oh,
right
and
there.
he gets pinched with Montoya and runs over the wheel of the Williams. Right there. Now he's sideways and into the wall. No, he's going to do a billiard ball job to the left side.
I think he just slowed up in the tunnel to give himself a blast of acceleration to put heat in the rear tires.
And you think
Montoya
thought he had to hit him?
Montoya just tried to go around him.
How extraordinary.
And they collided.
Well, if that's the case, this is far from over. After the race, there's going to be all sorts of complaints. This is amazing.
Well,
Watch again.
The pace car lights are still on.
Well, Michael locks up.
He's locking up there. Why would he be locking up?
Well, that was what made me think right there he had a suspension failure. But I think you guys are right. I think he slowed up. Probably caught some debris underneath the tyre when he hit the brakes, which locked the left front up. And Montoya just hit him, and then he catapults himself into the armco on the left, and that breaks the track rod.
Look at that backup. Guys almost ran into the back of each other.
That is Chris Dyer, Michael Schumacher's race engineer. I think telling him what they saw on the monitors and probably wanting to advise Michael, be very careful what you say to the press because of what's likely to happen after the race.
I'd like to see the replay in real time to see how much Michael slowed up.
Wow.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have that unless we get it from our World Feed partners. Incidentally, we took a lot of beating in the internet chat rooms yesterday for not getting the thoughts of Jenson Button after he qualified. I think Michael just gave his helmet a heave. But we were cut off by the World Feed in Monaco. And now all the cameras will be escorted backwards out of the garage.
Well, I wonder if that thud was Michael Schumacher slamming his helmet down on the lister top in frustration.
I have a feeling. Recall when he first came in, when he shoved a photographer aside while walking down the pit lane. I think he was under tremendous pressure this weekend to get that 6th in a row, and he will not. Back under green. Jarno Trulli is the race leader over Jenson Button in the BAR Honda, then Rubens Barrichello in the second Ferrari. He's probably got his finger on the radio button right now saying, what happened to Michael?
Well, that is the most incredible turn up for the book. The locking up, I can understand him slowing up to give himself room behind the pace car and to slow everybody up behind him, but I can't imagine why he would lock up. But look at this, our front row reassumes the lead.
Now, my question is, what kind of shape is Juan Pablo Montoya's Williams BMW in? Rubens Barrichello, by the way, has not made his second stop, and we're back under green. I think that was a mistake by Ferrari as well.
Oh, was that Jenson Button about to go over the chicane? There we see Michael Schumacher walking dejectedly back.
Well, he is back already. I think he's going to the race steward's office now. I think that's what's going on. Or
no, he's going back over
to the paddock. Yeah. Remember, the race transporters and the motorhomes are still down on the harbour front where they used to be. It's a long walk to get there over those connecting bridges.
And we race on.
Jarno Trulli from pole, his first pole in 119 races, still leads this race.
David, you've been following this race for about 40 years. Have you ever seen one of these?
Boy, I tell you what, they've had some bizarre races here before, especially in the rain, and when Panis won in '96 when he came from 14th on the grid.
And only 3 cars finished.
But I tell you what, I'm not a betting man, but I somehow suspect that of the two, Button or Trulli might crack first, but Button's got all his traffic between him and Trulli.
Got Ralph Schumacher ahead of him on the road right now.
Oh
Schumacher
my God,
pulls
he's going to
over.
go around the outside of him again. You be careful. Oh my goodness.
He's back online.
Well, of course, Alonso cleared all the dust up.
Is that Cristiano D'Amata in the Toyota? It is. D'Amata running 5th. Chatter going on from the engineers up above to the boys in the pit lane.
Those Jenson Button and the BAR people must be just a little bit nervous after Honda blew up so comprehensively very early on Sato's car. After Sato made one of the most brilliant starts I've ever seen here. Up to Sandoval. This is where the Honda's good, up this hill. It's pretty steep.
One of the most amazing feats in sports to me is being able to drive a temporary Formula One car.
So Button picked up 3/10 on that lap.
My question is, what happens to Barrichello?
How did Button's stop go then?
Well, I've just been looking at the figures here. I'm not sure. We missed Button's pit stop, and therefore not sure whether or not Button is good to go to the end of the race. I'm sorry to be so vague. I'm pretty sure Trulli and Barrichello must pit again. Now, I'm about 60% positive that Button is exactly the same, that he will have to stop again, but I am lacking the fuel figures from Button's pit stop because we didn't see it to be able to give you a definite answer. So it could well be Button might find himself in the pound seats here, looking very good indeed.
Cristiano D'Amata has got a drive-through penalty for ignoring the blue flag. So that'll be disappointing for him. He's up to 5th place.
I wonder who was behind him. After all, he is running 5th.
Well, of course, that's a problem. The time between Button and Trulli staying right at about 6.7 seconds.
On a circuit like this, though, I think you need to keep that blue flag in your pocket a little bit. Yeah, it is tough to pass here. Tough to get out of the way.
And all the drivers know that too.
Well, where do you go? I mean,
exactly.
Once you start on one of these complexes, you've got to sort of keep going. You can't just drive into the wall.
Well, we've seen what happens when cars pull wide around here.
Right.
And the later the race goes on, of course, the worse that gets.
Now, there's there's a story building here, too. If Jarno Trulli or Jenson Button can come through to win this race, or for that matter, any of the other Michelin-tired cars, it'll be their first Grand Prix win since last year's Hungarian Grand Prix. Recall, shortly after that, questions were raised about the legality of the Michelin tire profile. The company acquiesced, built some more tires, but they haven't won a race since then. They've all been won by Bridgestone shod teams, and that, of course, means Ferrari. So this will be a big day for Michelin if one of their cars can come through to win.
Boy, as the afternoon progresses, you can see how difficult it becomes for the drivers with those terrific changes in light. Very dark in the tunnel, very bright coming out of the tunnel into the sun, and very shadowy in the shadow of these big buildings.
Yeah, and we're starting to see track temperature fall away again. It's dropped down now to about 89, 90 degrees, so another 6 degrees has dropped out of it.
Well, the angle of the sun has changed so much, it's not shining right onto that black asphalt, putting heat into it.
Barrichello with lots of clear track ahead of him.
Right into the tunnel, dark in it. And then when they burst out, unbelievably bright sunshine now shining right at them.
Not shown here. Jarno Trulli with more than 6 seconds in hand over Jenson Button. This could be one very historic day in Monaco.
Welcome back to one of the most exciting and unbelievable Grand Prix of Monaco ever.
Yeah.
You're looking at Rubens Barrichello here, who's lying third. His teammate taken out by Juan Pablo Montoya in the tunnel after some sort of bizarre incident. We're not exactly sure what happened. It's hard to tell. Jarno Trulli, pole position, is still leading the race. Jenson Button is only 6 seconds behind him, gradually picking him up as time goes on. Rubens Barrichello into the pits.
From third place.
P3. That should be routine. They've got a lot of time. About 5 seconds of fuel is all that Rubens needs in that car to get to the end of the race. Nice and slick. They've got a lot of time over Montoya, so no pressure.
Yeah, he's a minute in front of Montoya, who's lying fourth. Well, we're hearing that Juan Pablo Montoya has apologized to the Ferrari team for running into the back of Michael Schumacher in the bridge and putting him out. But Michael Schumacher chose to... Now then, Steve, your fuel stop strategy, you're reckoning that Trulli's going to almost certainly have to stop, and unfortunately, we're not quite sure how long Button's last stop was, so we don't know whether he's going to stop or not, but the speed he's turning would certainly indicate that he's pretty light on fuel.
Yeah.
Here's another look at the incident. Michael Schumacher locks up the left front.
Why he's doing that, I'm not quite sure.
Montoya
tries to go down the inside to miss him on the inside, and just tags Michael Schumacher's right rear wheel.
I don't really understand what Montoya was trying to do, whether he was just caught off guard and thought that I'd best try and overtake them than slam the brakes on, because you're not allowed to overtake under that safety car period at all. You can't do that until the lights go off, the track goes green, and you pass the start-finish line.
Well, I think he was just caught off guard.
Right.
Why Michael Schumacher would lock up that left front to give gap, I'm not sure. It seems a bit of a violent thing to do, unless, like you thought, some debris got trapped under the tyre or it hit some more.
The only other possibility, David, that springs to mind is maybe Michael Schumacher was changing the brake bias to try and warm the tyres up on the approach down to the Nouvelle chicane at the exit of the tunnel. We've seen him do that before in these safety car periods to try and get some extra heat build-up by using the brake bias. So maybe he just caught himself off guard a little bit doing that. That is pure speculation. Of course.
Naomi Campbell looking on, former girlfriend of the team manager Flavio Briatore.
And I did notice earlier on that Ms. Campbell there was wearing a Renault pass in the pit, so she's obviously a guest of Renault Sport. It's not that these two ships were just passing in the night there.
No. They have quite a history together. Of course, supermodel Heidi Klum just gave birth to what we are told is Flavio Briatore's baby.
Jenson Button easing up on Jarno Trulli. Jarno Trulli driving the race of his life. Started here on the front row once before. In the year 2000 when he was in the Jordan. Retired from that race. His teammate Alonso was having a cracking run behind him. Made a huge mistake in the tunnel trying to lap Ralf Schumacher around the outside.
And that time right there shows that Trulli has picked up another couple of tenths over Button. 19 laps to go to a possible first career Grand Prix victory for Jarno Trulli. What a day for Trulli if he can win this race from pole. On board with Jenson Button, heading for Casino Square. Button continues in second. We'll be back in a moment, live to Monaco. Welcome back live to the streets of Monaco. Onto the main avenue. Start-finish straightaway. Jenson Button runs second, 5.5 seconds behind Monaco resident Jarno Trulli, who has scored only 3 Formula One podiums, or podia, in his entire career. Today, he may win the Monaco Grand Prix from pole. You ride with Trulli.
Trulli leads. Juan Pablo Montoya is second on the road.
Speed Channel is your home for two-wheeled excitement as well. Part of a big day today. Tune in at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time for live coverage of the AMA Superbikes from Pikes Peak in Colorado. Matt Ladd and Miguel Duhamel have cleaned up thus far this year, but Jake Zemke has been second twice. Can he get his first win? Tune in at 5:30 Eastern live today to find out, only on Speed.
All right, guys. I've been banging this calculator again in the last 10 minutes. I'm going to revise this situation now. I'm beginning to think that Trulli, with the fuel that he had on board before he came in during that safety car period and took on 5.5 seconds of fuel, that's the smudge factor that we're not really sure how much fuel was in the car. It could well be that Trulli could, with the safety car period and the fuel he saved during that period, he could just about make it to the end of this race. Button, we don't know because we missed that period, but I'm going to guess it's probably a similar situation. I'm guessing now Button and Trulli could go the distance.
There's Button coming down through the Grand Hotel hairpin, once the Lowe's hairpin, once the station hairpin.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Going back over the long history of this race.
I said that Montoya is second on the road. He is second on the road, but of course it's a lap down to, and he is between Button and Jarno Trulli. There he is, just coming out of the chicane. There's Button just coming out of the chicane.
If these guys do stop, it's going to be very quick. We're going to be looking at an absolute splash and dash in the last few seconds. The only thing that's catching me off guard a little bit here, I'm not sure what Pat Simmons' strategy was during that second pit stop for Trulli, whether or not he was playing with how much fuel he could afford to put in the car versus the track position, because remember, you can't overtake during that safety car period. It seems unlikely to me that Pat Simmons would not put enough fuel in the car if he could do so to get the car to the end of the race.
Well, they probably knew exactly what was in the car, and I mean, I'm sure they...
Well, those guys certainly do, yeah.
I can't believe that they would send him out with a potential stopping. Juan Pablo Montoya cranking out some good times too now. He's obviously holding the same speed as the two leaders, holding position between them.
Kind of remarkable after that bonking Montoya took in the tunnel here with
absolutely, yeah.
Michael.
Completely destroyed Michael's car, no damages at all.
3 cars on the lead lap. Trulli, Button, 4.8 seconds back. Rubens Barrichello, 50.1 back.
Boy, Montoya made a big effort there to let Button through, even though Button was actually sort of fairly behind him.
Field has been split in half. 20 cars started, 10 are now out. The all-time fewest number of cars running at the end of the Grand Prix was 96, when Olivier Panis won, and 3 cars saw the checkered flag. Panis, by the way, is running in 9th after that very difficult start to the day. Jolton Baumgartner, the rookie, will also is in line to finish his first Formula One Monaco Grand Prix.
the 4.5 second mark, 4.5 one lap, 4.8 the next. These guys cranking up incredibly even laps.
Both of these teams come on absolutely leaps and bounds. And this team right here, BAR, in the off-season, huge amount of engine failures, but the chassis working great. And you remember a couple of years ago when Renault first took over Team Benetton, they had a nightmare season with reliability. Now look at them.
Checking the gap this time across. Truly picks up a couple of tenths on Jenson Button. One, in fact, 4.9 seconds now the gap. First to second. Coming up on a dozen laps remaining in the Monaco Formula One Grand Prix. Stay with us. Welcome back. 11 laps remaining in the Grand Prix of Monaco. And Monaco resident Jarno Trulli, a little over a month from his 30th birthday, and with 118 previous Grand Prix starts under his belt, is in line for his first career victory. There goes Jenson Button. Flavio Briatore, the team manager at Renault, looks on. The question is, will they be stopping again? Trulli and Button could be very close on fuel. Jarno Trulli's father was a great fan of motorcycle racing, and that's where Jarno Trulli gets his first name from. He's named after the great Swedish motorcycle world champion Jarno Saarinen.
Boy, oh boy, just look at this now. We've got a couple of guys who are dicing for points, Heidfeld and Cristiano D'Amato. D'Amato's already had one penalty for not responding to the blue flag. Boy, this could be close as Jarno comes up to them. An opportunity up here to let him by. Yeah, Cristiano D'Amato not taking any chances.
Now Button just took a tenth off of Jarno Trulli's lead. It's been going that way back and forth for the last few laps. A tenth here and a tenth there.
Oh, I thought he'd let him through going down there. Now he's really stuck. Is he going to let him through? No. Oh boy, this is manna for heaven for Jenson.
Yeah.
Of course, they're going to let him through as well. As long as Jenson Button doesn't try to go around him in the outside of that tunnel.
Yeah, see, he's got to get there so that he can go through too when they move aside. Just a little dance with the devil at 175 miles an hour.
If they don't let him through down here, he's chopped liver. He has to follow him through here. But he's offline for that left-right.
Inches from the barrier. Woo. Checking the gap. 2.9 was previous. 3.5.
Paying the price in that traffic.
Well, you can see the two of them in the picture. Poor Flavio. He has to give up cigarettes. He can't keep his girlfriends organized, and now he has to go through this.
Well, now as we look at that Grand Hotel hairpin, they're both in the picture at the same time. Alonso was going out of the down to Portier before Button arrived at Grand Hotel after that traffic. He's right with him. But Jarno seems to be just a fraction quicker.
Third place Rubens Barrichello has faded by quite a bit. That may be due to traffic. But he is now more than a full minute behind this battle for the lead and the victory. Eight laps to go next time by, and Jenson Button can look up the road and see Jarno Trulli, the race leader. We'll be back with more from Monaco. Welcome back to our Bridgestone race reset. At the beginning of the race, a blinding start by Takuma Sato in the red and white BAR. Battled his teammate briefly for third before settling into fourth. 5 laps in, his Honda engine let go. Unsighted, Many cars slowed down, including David Coulthard, who was hit in the back by Giancarlo Fisichella's Sauber. The Italian catapulted into the Armco, but he walked away unhurt. Later on, Fernando Alonso inexplicably tried to pass Ralf Schumacher in the tunnel, got off onto the tire marbles, hit the fence, and fell out of second place in a possible 1-2 for the Renault team. Later on, even more bizarrely, Michael Schumacher locks up a tire behind the safety car. Juan Pablo Montoya in the Williams BMW tries to overtake. Schumacher moves to his right and collides with the Williams. The six-time world champion out of the race. The leader is Jarno Trulli. You see, we've had 6 lead changes, and it has set up a terrific battle for a possible first career Grand Prix win for either Jarno Trulli or this man, Jenson Button. The race leader is just up ahead there on the road. Less than 2 seconds separates the two men who would do anything at this point to break into the win column in their Formula One careers.
But of course, only just over 5 laps to go now. 5 coming up, 1.5 seconds between them. Very close. Unbelievable tension in the air in both these camps. The Renault is lying second to Ferrari in the Constructors' Champion, and of course BAR lying third, both in front of Williams and McLaren. Unusual for this time of year. These two teams really coming to the fore this year. Terrific battle for them. Jenson Button would just so dearly love to win. Obviously, both of them. Anybody wants to win the Monte Carlo Grand Prix.
Well, and the cars are so evenly matched, and yet in different ways. You know, that, as we were saying before, that Renault engine, great torque down on horsepower, 70 brake horsepower down on that BAR Honda of Jenson Button. So Button getting the moves up the hill where all the horsepower comes into play, and then the Renault just coming back, clawing that time back again by using the torque.
Button has taken a couple of tenths off of Trulli. He is so quick in the first 2 segments of the track, drawing ever closer. Teammates at Renault 2 years ago. Who would have guessed at the beginning of the season that BAR and Renault would be battling for the victory at Monaco?
That seems incredible.
Well, battling for the victory, and who would have thought, too, that the McLaren Mercedes team would be languishing down in 5th spot in the championship with only 5 points going into this race, and of course that's what they're going to come away from this race with, 5 points.
Now, Trulli took a 10th back from Button in the 3rd segment, but now we're on the part of the track where Button is quickest. He's already taken 3/10 back.
But of course, as we've said before, getting around him is going to be a whole different ball game. Let's just hope these two kids don't hand the win to Rubens Barrichello in Ferrari, who's lurking in 3rd spot, albeit a minute and 10 seconds behind.
Now the balance shifts. This is a part of the track where Trulli is quicker.
Right.
The Renault chassis being just a little bit better through these very fast sweeps and direction changes.
Oh, Ralf Schumacher is done. That moves Olivier Panis, the 96 Monaco winner, up into the 8th and final points-paying position for Toyota.
Considering he had to start at the back of the grid after the gearbox. Under a second separate them now as they go up the hill. The BAR guys willing him on. The BAR Honda's very quick up here. Oh, Jensen can smell it now. Mistake at this stage and just pressured into a little bit of a too late a break, slight mistake at this stage, just make all the difference.
Perhaps the biggest opportunity for overtaking is at the exit of the tunnel on the lead down to that Nouvelle chicane. You've got to get much closer.
Boy, yeah, I'm going to get much closer. And this is like Mansell and Senna back in '92. But we saw how Mansell couldn't get it.
No, this looks much more realistic racing to me than that '92 challenge from Mansell onto Senna.
The BAR quick through this corner.
Now, this is where the Renault seems to be working so well.
Don't you know, these two guys are loving this.
Huge potential to make a mistake, especially on Jetton's behalf, coming in from behind there. Just think another foot and I'll get him.
1 lap to go next time across the stripe. Two veteran drivers. This man truly racing, as he told us 2 weeks ago, for his former engineer and friend, Dino Tosso, who's been diagnosed with inoperable cancer. Jenson Button in his 4th season in Formula One. He was the golden boy at one time, then fell off the radar screen through lack of results and a playboy reputation.
But he's not falling off the radar screen this year.
1 lap to go.
Traffic ahead. Zolt going into the tunnel.
Don't become the answer to a trivia question here. Oh, now he's between them.
Jenson lost ground coming out the tunnel for some reason.
So many dramatic runnings of this race going back to 1929. One corner to go for Jarno Trulli. 1 corner to his first career Formula One victory in 119 starts. Trulli has done it. 4/10 of a second, the margin of victory in a great battle between 2 young drivers.
Well, I don't think anybody's got anything to be ashamed of there.
No.
A terrific effort by both drivers. Both cars had their strong points and their weak points around the track here, but Jarno Trulli really kept his head. Of course, 119 starts under his belt. Jenson Button 71. As you said a couple of years ago, Jenson Button, when he was Jarno Trulli's teammate, had a pretty rough time at Renault, but
there is the 3rd place car, Bruins Barrichello. More than 1 minute and 10 seconds behind the battle for victory. When Pablo Montoya runs 3rd, Felipe Massa 5th, Cristiano Ramada 6th for Toyota, picking up a couple of points. Nick Heidfeld 7th, gets Jordan's first points of the year, and Olivier Panis in 8th makes it 2 Toyotas in the points. Jolt Baumgartner in 9th is the best finish for the Minardi team this year. In fact, their best finish in 2 seasons. But right now, it's all about this man, 29-year-old Jarno Trulli, who lives here in the Principality and has finally won his first Grand Prix victory.
Yes, and the first Grand Prix victory as well for his race engineer.
There is his teammate's
great day
car
for Renault.
This was Fernando Alonso's race coming to an end, but there will be a party at Renault. Welcome back to the streets of Monaco, where Jarno Trulli pulls into Parc Fermé. What a moment for him.
Oh my God, the excitement for the Renault team the last 2 days. Their pole yesterday afternoon, the crew went absolutely mad, and I think this afternoon they've gone absolutely berserk as he gets this win.
There's his team director and personal manager, Flavio Briatore, giving him a hug. Jenson Button climbs out after another terrific drive in the BAR Honda. This should be a great interview and a great podium ceremony. Michael Schumacher's winning streak to open the season is at an end, while Rubens Barrichello upholds Ferrari colors with a third-place finish. There's Barrichello, looking decidedly downbeat here, finishing 75 seconds behind
of course,
Trulli.
It's not a great run for Ferrari. I mean, a disastrous day, really. And, of course, Rubens Barrichello coming third is great, but a minute down.
Well, Michael had it all going his way, it appeared. There is His Serene Highness, Prince Renier in the middle, daughter Caroline in the white suit. They will present the trophies to winner Jarno Trulli.
Well, that was a great race.
The longest period in Formula One before picking up his first career win. 119 races for Jarno Trulli, and perhaps Rubens Barrichello is feeling a little downbeat. He has the second longest time. He went 125 races.
That's two second places for Jenson Button this year. Takuma Sato's run of ill luck continued after a brilliant start. There's Rubens Barrichello trying to put a brave face on it, but a minute and a half behind.
Let me straighten out the point I was trying to make. Barrichello went 125 races before picking up his first. Jarno Trulli, the second longest streak at 119. They have something to talk about. Did the French anthem for manufacturer Renault get a little more time than the Italian anthem for race-winning driver Jarno Trulli? First win.
The last time was Riccardo Patrese in 1992 for an Italian driver.
First win ever for Renault here in Monaco as a manufacturer. Ligier became the first French manufacturer to do it back in '96 with Olivier Panis. And now, as tradition holds, you do not spray the Royals with champagne.
No, that doesn't go down at all well.
These guys aren't used to it. They don't know what to do.
Well done, guys. You deserve that. I'm absolutely thrilled for the guys at Renault. Thrilled for the guys at BAR too.
Yes, your mate Alistair will be beside himself, I think.
Absolutely.
2 second spots, only a amount of time before Jenson or Sato wins one of these races. No, that's the proper thing to do with it.
Yeah.
Flavio's much more used to chugging that champagne, isn't he? Very natural. action.
He owns a very trendy club on the island of Sardinia. I wonder if he'll take his man Jarno for a quick sojourn. Those goofy headbands, I believe, are a trademark Jarno Trulli item. They all have JT on them. He wears one all the time, although he did remove his David Beckham-style top knot, I noticed. Now be careful. Yesterday, Jarno Trulli and Jenson Button got into one of these cars to drive the wrong way around the circuit to get to the media briefing room, and they were run into by a course car.
But as they're in a Renault minivan, he said, Jarno Trulli quickly said, it's a good job these Renaults are strong cars.
See if they put their safety belts on again. Nice to have a microphone in there. A few highlights of today's dramatic 60-second running of the Grand Prix of Monaco. 51st as a round of the Formula One World Championship. Giancarlo Fisichelle's incredible roll into the Armco.
Tipped out of the race there. Boy, I had my money on Fisichella today to be well in the points. I thought he would have done well.
There's Fisichella being walked away. No doubt still wondering what happened.
He's a lucky lad.
Fernando Alonso getting out on the gray matter out by the fence while trying to pass Ralf Schumacher in the tunnel and paying for it with his race.
Would have almost certainly still hung on to that second spot. I think Jenson Button would have had a tremendous job to get around. And there is Michael Schumacher, who was also to become unglued tremendously as a result of this accident.
I just can't recall a race with this many incidents, certainly this many in the tunnel. Here was Michael Schumacher. Whatever he was planning, he locked up the left front. Montoya dove for the right side. The two came together
and spun Michael around, who again did a billiard ball off both sides of the barrier, destroying his car and destroying his hopes of winning 6 races in a row and 6 at Monte Carlo. Why he locked that front up in there, I know the theory is he was giving himself room. There he walks back. Must be absolutely fuming.
Something we didn't discuss much was the fact that Michael was trying to tie Ayrton Senna with his 6th Monaco victory. Of course, it's all about winning. And these guys are going to have a well-deserved party tonight. Too bad the European Grand Prix is just a week away. They all have to be at the Nürburgring next Thursday. We'll have more on that a little later. Welcome back. A dramatic day at the 62nd Grand Prix of Monaco. The top 3 have made their way to the television interview room where our Speed Channel friend Peter Windsor awaits them.
The Monaco Grand Prix congratulates the 3 podium finishers. 3rd for Scuderia Ferrari Marlboro, Rubens Barrichello. 2nd for Lucky Strike, BAR Honda, Jenson Button. And winning his first Grand Prix for Renault, Jarno Trulli. Jarno, a truly, if I may use the word, historic occasion. Your first win, Renault's first win as a team at Monte Carlo, and the first win by an Italian here for 22 years. The pressure at the end of the race was outstanding as well.
It's amazing at the moment. I'm so happy for me, for everybody, for all those people which have been supporting me. I've been waiting for so long, and it came the best race in Monaco. It was just fantastic for me. I did a perfect race, been leading from the beginning, and even with Michael on the track, I would have won anyway because I already had a pit. And in the end, I was just managing the race. I was slowing down, taking care of tires and everything, not taking any risk because anyway, you know that in Monaco you cannot overtake.
Talk us through the closing stages of the race there. Jenson got very, very close at the end there.
It was just down to me, honestly. When I wanted, I just responded to the quickest lap time. But then in the end, there was no point to take any risk. I was just handling the race. He closed the gap, but he couldn't anyway get close enough to try to overtake. So, you know, everything was under control.
Well, you seem very calm and composed. What were your thoughts and emotions in those closing laps, and particularly on the slowing down lap as well?
So many things have gone through my mind. You know, I've been waiting for so long. I've been through a lot of bad moments. And the moment I just cannot realize that I won the race and I won in Monaco, the best race probably in the world. So I'm happy. nothing is going to change for me. I will keep going as I've done for the first part of the championship, and I'm so happy for me, but especially from the Renault team.
Very sincere congratulations. Jensen, what a race from your point of view.
Yeah, I mean, off the line, I didn't get a very good start, and I lost out to Alonso. And then it was really tough. You know, the traffic was so tough. You know, the back markers. But in the last stint, when I was behind Jarno, I know that you can't overtake here, but I had to give everything I possibly could, and maybe push him into a mistake. I know he wasn't pushing 100%, but you've got to try. And you know, I had the possibility of hitting a guardrail, but I want to win so much, so I was pushing as hard as I possibly could.
We saw a lot of incidents in this race. One of the major ones, of course, was Michael Schumacher hitting the guardrail in the tunnel. Did you see any of that?
No, because I had already had my pits 8 cars back. But it was very strange. It's slippery in the tunnel anyway. We normally go through there 160 miles an hour, and you have so much downforce. You don't have a problem with the slippery asphalt. But when you're going that slow, it is very, very slippery.
Well, both you and Jarno had 2 stops. Did the amount of safety car time affect your strategy?
When Alonso hit the barriers in the tunnel, obviously we pitted immediately. To correct. I think we would have been ahead when he had made his stop. So the team did a fantastic strategy, but we couldn't catch this man.
Congratulations. Rubens, a distant third place, but a third place nonetheless. You didn't come in, like Michael, when the safety car came out. What was the thinking behind that?
Oh, we had a lot of fuel on board yet at that time. But I must be honest, I was very lucky today just to finish the race, because there was a point in the race that I started to lock the wheels, and I felt that something happened on the rear suspension, and so it was on the safety car. When the safety car came in, I had the chance to go slow through just beside the wall, just to see if they could see something, because I was hitting the ground quite badly. And I was locking the wheels, like if the car wasn't behaving quite right from left to right. So it was a question just to go round and round just to finish the race. Really, it was no point on pushing, because there was nowhere. Something must have broken on the car.
What did you see of Michael's incident in the tunnel?
I was further behind, so I couldn't see anything. All of a sudden, I saw some pieces flying, and then I saw Michael just slowing down with the suspension. So nothing that I could have seen.
And what about the Sato engine blow up early in the race?
To be very honest with you, I thought that they should have put a flag to him before, because there was already three laps where he was already putting too much smoke, you know, out of the engine or out of the gearbox. Something was happening there. It was obvious, and there was major drama. I caught the car just when I was going into the guardrail. I was 0 per hour, but I would have damaged my car, because you could see absolutely nothing.
Well, Jarno, final thoughts from you. You started from the pole and you've won the Monaco Grand Prix. It must be starting to sink in now.
It's fine. It's nice to dominate the weekend. I think it was a faultless weekend. I'm extremely happy, because it's the best way to win the race, being always on top during the whole weekend.
Congratulations. Now, can we have some words?
And now Jarno Trulli will turn to his Italian fans and speak their native language. We'll take this opportunity to step away from beautiful Monaco. We'll be back. Here's a good look at the rock that anchors the tiny Principality of Monaco, about 3 times the size of the mall in Washington, D.C., renowned throughout the world as a jet-set playground. At the end of a dramatic running of the Grand Prix of Monaco, Jarno Trulli has his first career victory. Let's check the rest of the results, David.
And what a victory it was. From pole position, the first for him. First pole, his first victory. Jenson Button, his second place of the year. A great run, but just was down a little bit. Rubens Barrichello, a pretty lucky third, 67, 68 seconds behind. Juan Pablo Montoya just sort of off the pace all weekend in qualifying 9th, ends up in 4th, but got some points. Felipe Massa picking up points for the first time for Sauber. Cristiano De Marta and Heidfeld and Olivier Panis all picking up points for the first time for their teams and themselves.
That's the kind of thing that happens at Monaco. Joel Baumgartner in 9th place, the final car to finish the race. We had 11 retirements, among them brothers Ralf and Michael Schumacher, none more dramatic than Michael's, and that incident in the tunnel is going to take some explaining. Fernando Alonso also fell afoul of the marbles in the tunnel, and he is no doubt bitterly disappointed at this point. The final finishers, Takuma Sato, who was such a dramatic part of the opening 5 laps of this race before his Honda engine let go, and knocked David Coulthard and Giancarlo Fisichella out of the race. In the Drivers' Championship, Michael Schumacher's perfect score ends at 50. 5 victories in a row. Rubens Barrichello now sole possession of 2nd place. Jenson Button in 3rd. And Jarno Trulli with the victory leaps up to 4th.
And neither of those two very far behind Rubens Barrichello. Montoya with 23. Alonso stays on 21. Ralf Schumacher stays on 12. Felipe Massa had got 1 point before, but now he's gone to 5. David Coulthard on 4. And look at that. Mata, Heidfeld and Fisichella all picking up points today, and Olivier Panis. Kimi Raikkonen still under 1 point.
How about the Constructors' Championship, Steve?
Well, there it is. Ferrari do extend their lead from 82 to 88 with a very subdued 3rd place from Barrichello, but Ferrari's dream of a perfect season and Formula One's wish probably for a perfect season ends right there. Great result for Renault, of course, up to 52 points, and BAR another fantastic day. First points of the season for Toyota and Jordan. Toyota taking 6th and 8th, and Jordan 7th spot for Heidfeld. Tremendous results, and poor old Minardi still on 0.
But there's a long way still to race. That about does it for the 2004 Monaco Grand Prix. We're glad you have it with us. Join us later this week when the Grand Prix circuit travels straight on to the historic Nürburgring in Germany. We'll start things off Friday, May 28th at 8 a.m. Eastern with live coverage of the 2nd free practice session. Saturday the 29th, qualifying begins at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Then on Sunday the 30th, live coverage of Round 7 of the World Championship begins at 7:30 a.m. Eastern with the Acura pre-race show and Peter Windsor. Then we'll be live straight through to the finish. Until then, for David Hobbs, Steve Matchett, and Peter Windsor, I'm Bob Varsha. We'll see you back here in just 5 days. Until then, so long, everyone.